Welcome back, everyone. It is not just a new episode, but also a new season. We've made it to 3 seasons deep. I remember when we first got started that there was some talk about maybe there will be a season 2, and I'm like, no, we're doing like 12 seasons. So, season 3, episode 1, Vegans Who Live podcast with your favorite vegan hosts. We got Brooke Sellers, aka Miss Meatless Muscle, myself, John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan. Brooke, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. I am so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have some good information today. We're going to be talking about the importance of tracking your progress, no matter if you are a bodybuilder at an elite level or if you are just looking to lose 5 pounds or build your first 5 pounds of muscle. So, yeah, I think this will really help a lot of people. And we've got some good questions from some of our viewers or listeners today.
Yes, y'all asked, and we are going to answer. So, thank you for anybody that heard on the last episode. We are still taking questions. We're going to be answering them every single episode. So, please submit them. Veganswholivepodcast.com. You can just click on there, record yourself, and we'll play you out on here. If you don't want to be mentioned, you can submit it anonymously. If you want to be mentioned, we'll be happy to give you a shout out. So, yeah, I am excited for this. It's kind of crazy. It's hard to believe we're 3 seasons in already. Like, it feels like we just got started.
I know,
But
especially considering each one is 12 episodes. It's a lot. We've been
yeah,
working.
been hustling. I went to send somebody an episode the other day, and I'm like, dang, I am just scrolling down to find this one. Like, we got a lot out there. So thank you guys for sticking around with us, for entertaining us, giving us questions, coming on the podcast. We've had some phenomenal guests, and we got some cool people lined up for this season as well. Actually, it's almost been difficult. We've had so many people asking to come on. It's like, hey, we need a little bit of Brooke and John time too. So I'm glad we're still making space for that. Um, and I'm all over the place. I have no script here, so you can help steer me, Brooke.
Let's go ahead and knock out our question game.
Okay.
We're running a little bit low on our shaker cup, so I don't know if you want to do the next set, or I mean, I could do it. We could talk about that off air.
Oh God, do you
Um,
really want me to come up with all the questions?
I would be terrified every episode.
Oh, I'm gonna ask some hard ones. All right, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Ooh, okay. Here we go. Describe your dream house if money was not a factor.
Oh wow. See, that's so funny because like I don't really care that much about the house. For me, it's not really a status symbol. I'm kind of an introvert, so I don't normally host a ton of people. Like I got a spare bedroom right now, but that's about it. Um, Practicality. A bathroom with 2 toilets, 2 sinks, 2 showers, 2 mirrors. Because if Allie's over and I need my space. Well, actually, we have a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms, but we're just never together during that time. But that's okay. You need your alone space sometimes. But I think like a nice walk-in shower with 2 shower heads, that would be cool. And then a big kitchen because I actually cook a little less now thanks to Crave and all the shout out Big Mountain. They just sent me like 12 blocks of tofu to try out. Yeah, so I don't cook as much, but a big kitchen would be nice. A jacuzzi, a hot
Mm,
tub. Yeah. That's about it.
yeah.
I mean, the TV, a bed. Yeah, I'm simple. How about you?
Yeah, like I could really care less about the house, but it's more like the stuff in it for sure. I definitely would want a nice kitchen with like all the appliances, because I love cooking and I love our house, but it doesn't have a pantry. And I've always grown up with a pantry, like a walk-in pantry, and I didn't realize how valuable a walk-in pantry is until I moved into this house. And I'm like, shit, we should have looked for that. But lesson learned. So I definitely want a walk-in pantry for all my freaking food. A nice kitchen. I'd love to have a jacuzzi too, a sauna I think would be awesome, an infrared
Ooh,
sauna.
yeah.
Um, I would say a home gym, but like I don't even really know if I'd use it because I love going to the gym. Maybe just like a gym set up for like content, like for filming, like YouTubes and stuff like that. That if money's not an issue, right? Like I think that would be kind of cool. And A full cardio equipment would be great for fasted cardio though. And you know what? A posing room would be epic, like with mirrors and like awesome anabolic lighting. That would be like my dream house for sure. And maybe like some land, and I would like to have some chickens.
Okay. Chickens as pets?
Yeah. I love chickens. I think they're cool and cute. And maybe some goats, but I've heard goats are like rowdy as hell and they get into everything.
Alex from Karma Farm, he could speak on the goats. Actually, they can be they can be aggressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like super smart too. So like I've like seen people of like videos on Instagram of like goats getting out of the pen and then they like destroy people's cars and it's like such a mess. So I don't know. I may just stick with the chickens. Have a little chicken
So,
coop.
based on what you said, it sounds like it might just be easier for you to find a gym and move in there and renovate a kitchen. Because otherwise, like you're gonna have to build a whole gym. I think, yeah, that would be awesome. I do have a little apartment gym, so like I can go there to film content, but ooh, I love being in the gym.
Me too.
I it makes me work harder when there's other people there.
Oh yeah.
Um, I
And it gets you out
think
of the house. Like to me, because I'm like you, I'm an introvert. I don't really go out much. So it's like my outing. It's where I socialize.
if I didn't have the gym, I would not leave home, 6 days a week. I'd leave home 1 day a week, so to go to the store.
Yep.
Um, yeah, also, I was telling Ali about this the other day, like, my gym is 20 minutes. It's like, for some people, that's a bit of a drive, but for me, that's like a sometimes it's like 4 o'clock, and that is the first time in the entire day that I just put my phone away. I put on some music, some Machine Gun Kelly, My Chemical Romance, something like kinda mid-level, and just go and drive. Sometimes I record a video, but other times I will just drive and enjoy the music. And that'll be the first time I could just slow my brain down in the whole day. So it's like if I had the gym here, man, I'd probably just be working in between every set too.
Yeah, yeah, and I know I don't think 20 minutes is that bad. That's how far I drive for my gym. I do have one that's a little bit closer, like 10 minutes, but the one 20 minutes away is just way better. So I drive there. But see, it's like it's all like perspective, right? Like I used to drive to a gym that was 45 minutes away and I thought it was but it was a great gym, so to me it was worth it,
Mm.
but like I don't think that's bad. But same thing, it's like I would probably just never get out and meet people and talk to people if I didn't go to the gym. So I certainly wouldn't. I'm not a home workout person, but I know some people love home workouts.
It gives you flexibility and it takes away all excuses. I mean,
That's true.
there was like a monsoon the other day here, and I think if I had an equally equipped home gym, I would have just said, fuck it, I'm staying home and training here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you did leave something out. I know that you would have this if you had unlimited money. It would be sexist to call it a man cave, but we'll call it a woman cave with Harry Potter and like a little movie theater.
Duh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh my absolutely. I need a setup for my Legos because that's my issue right now. Is like, God, I want to get another Lego, but like I'm running out of room. So I'm like, shit. But I do have a storage room, so I may just like make that a Lego, like a half a Lego room. But yeah, I definitely need like a room for like all my little hobbies that just take up so much space.
Yeah. Well, cool. We're not super
Fun.
materialistic people. Some people are like, oh, I want a 12-bedroom house with a 12-car garage. And
It's
uh,
like, I know, I just don't I mean, for what? I guess just for some people, it just makes them feel like they've achieved something or they've like reached success. I don't know. I mean, I just need a place for all my stuff and like, my little hobbies.
I used to always say I don't even want a yard because I don't want to do yard work. I guess I could hire somebody to do that, but then like I have to hire. It just makes my life
Yeah.
too complicated. Um, so today we have, I think, an absolutely vital topic. If you're not doing this, probably in most aspects of your life, you're not making the progress that you could, and that's tracking and measuring. So we have a lot. There's a lot of different avenues. I mean, we have just bodybuilding, but then we can talk about finances, um, bodybuilding and finances. What else do I know? What else do we track?
I mean, like when it comes to your fitness goals, I mean, there's so many things that you can track and like you said, and like I think a lot of people they immediately think, like tracking calories and tracking their protein, but also things like steps and like your weigh-ins, but I think, like measurements, pictures, like your strength in the gym, your workouts, all of that stuff is so important and I find that so many people who only rely on the scale, I feel like most of the time those people they get really really frustrated because you know how it is, especially if you're first starting out, you're also losing weight but you're also building muscle. And everybody kind of responds differently. So in those situations, it would be really easy to get frustrated and give up even though you're making a ton of progress. You just don't realize it because the scale's not your friend. So, this can give you a little bit more reassurance that you're moving in the right direction. And you kind of, well, I mean, I'm sure some people still get frustrated, but you can kind of curb that and rely on some of these other factors to see, okay, well, I am making progress, whether the scale's moving or not. And even things like blood work. Like I was thinking about that too. That's been super important for me is to watch my blood work improve and not even just like a post-show bodybuilder, like when your hormones are all fucked up and you're trying to like get back to homeostasis, but like I even have clients come to me who, believe it or not, even vegan, they have high cholesterol and they have other sorts of, high markers on their blood work and seeing those numbers go down, they may not be super happy with their weight loss, but like seeing their blood work improve is awesome and a huge motivating factor. I had a client just come off some sort of medication she was on because she was able to lower her cortisol. So awesome, awesome stuff like that. So yeah, I think this will be really insightful for those people, especially if you're one of those people who is stuck on the number on the scale, because that's going to mess
let's
you up.
let's start with that, and I'm gonna be controversial a little bit here. It's gonna piss some people off. Your scale, it checks your body weight. That's all it does. I don't care if you think you have some fancy scale that checks your body fat percentage or your muscle density or the color of your hair. Your scale can only tell you your body weight, the electrical impedance that it can send through your feet to try and somehow figure out what the rest of your body is. It just, the technology's not there yet. I don't know if it will ever be there for that. You want to find out your body fat percentage? Go to a university, get a DEXA scan or a bod pod where you actually go into water and they do whatever scientific measurements they do. Otherwise, it's all made up. It's a joke. I have a lot of people that are like, I just signed up with you and I bought this $100 scale and it's going to tell me my body fat percentage. And I'm just like, if you can return it, please do. Go
Damn.
get the $20 one that I said this is a good scale, and we'll be much better off.
Oh, I'm so happy you said that. 'Cause I wasn't even thinking about that, but I have clients who get obsessed with those numbers, like their body fat percentage and their muscle mass, and I'm just like, please don't, please don't. Like you said, the other thing is too, the electrical signals only going through your legs. So it doesn't, even factor in your whole body. So, and we all have different shapes. So like if you're an apple or a pear, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that electrical impulse is going to read something totally different, especially like the difference between men and women when men don't typically have as much body fat on their legs. So there's just so many variables there. And here's a perfect example. I had one of those scales. I think mine was a Renfo, and like you could connect it to your phone and it would like show you all this data. On my show day, it told me I was 19% body fat. And I can tell you guys, I wouldn't have been up there if I was a 19% body fat. And I had a DEXA scan done just like maybe 5 days prior, and I was like 9%. So that just shows you the huge discrepancy in those scales. It's like you said, the technology is not there yet. And even it's almost like Apple Watches and Fitbits. People get obsessed with the calories they burn, which again, so inaccurate. And if you go and you read the fine print on the watch, the website, the manual, whatever, it will say that it is for entertainment purposes. Technically entertainment purposes, the calories that that it tracks that you burn are not nearly accurate. Like, so I'll have clients who be like, wow, I just burned 550 calories in my 45-minute weight training session. Like, do I need to eat that all back? Like, that's a whole nother discussion, but that is so like way overestimated. And I kind of understand why they do it. So it motivates people to be more active. But yeah, again, like there's so many variables there. So you guys don't get hung up on this technology because it's not accurate.
It's not everything. Even with the bod pod, like you got to read between the lines here. I had a client just check in, and he had done a bod pod before his show, and he did one more recently. He's up 4 pounds of body weight, which actually is not a lot, and it said he had gained 2 pounds of fat mass and lost 2 pounds of fat-free mass. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think that this is right because it's telling me I lost 2 pounds of muscle, and I've been hitting PRs and getting strong again." And I said, like, "You got to go look, read the fine line. Fat-free mass. That means muscle, bone, water, literally anything that's not fat." So he probably has gained 2 pounds of fat back. That's reasonable. He's no longer stage lean, but I guarantee he hasn't lost 2 pounds of muscle. He might have just been a little dehydrated that day, a little bit lower water, and that's going to show your fat free mass going down. So again, I, there's such a everybody asks me, "What's your body fat percentage?" And it's like, I've never had it checked. I don't care. I don't get to go on stage and say, "Hey, I benched 4 plates. Hey, I hack squat this. Hey, my body fat is it?" Like, I just get to show my body. I could be 20% body fat, but if I look better than everybody else, I'm gonna win. Or I could be like at my last show, probably the leanest guy on there, and not win. If I had to, if I got to show my body fat percentage, that would have been great, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. So for your average people, there's no real need. Like 10 like you said, everybody's shaped differently. 10% on one person is going to look different than 10% on another. Me, I would probably kill one of those electric impedance scales because my legs stay lean year round. Like I got veins in my legs right now, but no veins in my abs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people, they'll get veins in their abs first and then their legs will lean out. So everybody's different there.
That's a good
Um,
point. And not that they're entirely useless because they are helpful, but it's kind of the difference between like precision and accuracy, so like, or consistency. So like if you get a couple DEXA scans, it is like you're saying, there are certain variables there. So like once I did a DEXA scan, and I did them like fairly recently because I wanted to see if my gaining phase was like effective or not, if I needed to increase, decrease. And it was showing that I had lost like 4 or 5 pounds of fat-free mass, like you were saying. And I asked the DEXA scan guy, I'm like, I don't understand how that's possible. Like, how could that possibly be the case when I'm training harder, I'm lifting more, and I'm also eating more? And he asked me a few questions, and then we figured out I'd come off creatine. And creatine helps you hold more water. So it just that little change made like a difference in my results. So but if you do stay consistent with like your training and your food and stuff, you can see how the numbers are moving. But like, it's like you said, don't get married to that like 18% body fat. But if we do see 18 is going down to 16 and then down to 15, like we can assume that you are moving in the right direction. It may not be those exact numbers, but we can use it to see that what you're doing is at least working. So they're not totally useless. They can be very, very valuable, especially if you're in that like recomp where you're losing body fat and building muscle. But yeah, people get so attached to those numbers, and like especially with the Apple Watches and stuff. And like even my Fitness Pal, if you put in your data to my Fitness Pal, it always gives you some crazy like cracked out numbers. Like I've never followed my Fitness Pal, and I'll have clients be like, my Fitness Pal is telling me to eat this. Should I eat this instead? I'm like, no, don't do it.
yeah, you have a coach for a reason. Listen to
Yeah.
your coach, not to the app. It can be, I mean, my Fitness Pal is great for tracking. That's how I have my clients use it, but I don't have them put in goals because then they just have to update the goals every time I update their plan. And what if they have a higher training day than an off day? And like even like Rachel, one of my clients, she's got 3 different days. She has an off day, a training day, and a leg day. So she gets a green bites now on leg day. And it's like that would be just a mind fuck to try and have to change that like 6 times a week when you're back and forth from each one. Yeah, so since the scale and the body fat percentage, those aren't the full picture. At least I know you do the same, but for me as a coach, I try to get a holistic picture. Where is the scale trending? And that's it. Is like, is it trending or is it stuck where it's at? How are the photos? Are the photos improving? Like, are they looking leaner? Are they looking bigger? How are they feeling? They're like, oh my God, I got great amounts of energy. I'm feeling great. Like, that's a good sign usually, unless they're like a couple weeks out from the show, then that's not a good sign. Um, and then their training performance. So like I got some clients like, dude's been hanging around like 175, 180 pounds since he started with me. Hasn't really lost any weight, but his numbers have shot up in the gym. He feels great. If I show you his scale, it looks like nothing has happened. If I show you his before and after picture, you're like, holy shit. So it's one part of the puzzle. So many people get anxiety over it. I used to. I used to not want it to go up because I knew if it went up too high, I'd have to eat less. And I'm like, I want to eat more food. But I try to tell my clients, like, that number's not for you. It's for me. I'm here to interpret it, not you. Like, it's helpful to know though. Like for me, I know I weigh myself every single day. And I kind of have like a mental log of, was yesterday a training day? Was yesterday a high carb day? Was yesterday an off day with less food? And I can almost predict where I'll be at every morning. I'm rarely surprised. Sometimes I am, but usually a bowel movement fix that, and then I'm good to go. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one time I had a client of mine, she complained that my check-ins were not efficient for her is the word that she used, because I do ask quite a bit of questions and she just wanted to be able to submit her pictures and her weight each week. And I'm like, that is not nearly enough for me to figure out what's going on with your body and how to prescribe cardio training and nutrition to you. I mean, that's just not nearly enough. So, and again, there's a lot of times why people get frustrated. So like, if you're a month in and the scale's not changing, but you're taking your pictures and like your client and you see, wow, there's a huge difference there. That's motivation to keep going. And a lot of people would quit after that month of just looking at the scale. So yeah, it's really important. And you always, I think it's aside from just progress, because of course, tracking all of these things it's of course harder than doing like the simple like quick fix fads and stuff like that, or hopping on Ozempic or like whatever, but um you get to learn your body, which I think is just a such a valuable skill and a tool. um Down the road, if you do have any sort of health issues or any sort of crisis, if like the trends that your body hangs out in, like you can kind of feel when something's wrong. And like that's what happened to me when I had SIBO and all my gut issues and thyroid issues. Is it's like, I mean, I could drop weight like nobody's business on 1,800 calories, and now it was hard to do on like 1,400. So it's like something's off here. I usually don't have to work this hard to lose weight. So in those kind of cases, like of course that's kind of rare, but you can learn your body and know when stuff is off. And I also think so we could talk about this too for women, tracking your menstrual cycle. Like I had a lot of women, like I had a client check in and she was like, well, I don't want to like check in when I'm on my period. And I'm like, well, this is actually a really important time for you to check in so that we know how your body responds on your menstrual cycle. So if you're up 3 pounds, we know that's how you typically respond on your menstrual cycle. If your digestion is off this week, we know that's why. So, figuring out like how your body responds, also like if you're irregular, if you're regular or not. And like a lot of people track the dates, but even just tracking your composition, how your strength was, how your digestion was, your sleep during that time of the month is really important to you as a woman.
yeah, and if you're gonna get blood work run as a woman, I am going off memory here. I have it written down, but I believe the best time is about 7 days before your period begins. So every woman's length of their cycle is a little bit different. Everybody's an individual. So if you're not already tracking and knowing, hey, I run about 28 days or I run about 35, you won't know the best day to get your blood work scheduled. So for all those reasons, it's great to track. And I can feel for your client that's like, oh no, like I'm up 3 pounds. I don't want to lock these numbers in. I want to pretend it didn't happen. But like, you have to remember a couple things. Some people might be bulking. Like, so then it's the other rank. It's like, oh, I'm up 3 pounds. Yay. It's like, well, actually, maybe it's your period. And then also people get obsessed with losing weight. But like, Brooke, what would happen if each one of us lost a pound a week for the next 52 weeks? For the next 2 years, the next 3 years, eventually we'd be nothing. So you can't lose weight forever. And, people really do like how they look, not just the number. Like if you could pick your dream body or the dream number on the scale, which one are you going to pick? Um,
Exactly.
yeah. All right. We've definitely, we've already covered a good bit for blood work. That could be its own whole episode
Mm,
easily. I will say everybody that goes vegan is like, "Oh no, what about my protein and my B12?" I've never met a protein deficient or a B12 deficient vegan, but I've worked with over 300 vitamin D deficient clients, vegan or otherwise. So vitamin D is a huge one to get checked, and then comprehensive panel for everything else. I know Brooke and I both do that for our clients. So if you guys need help with that, feel free to reach out. Um, let's talk a little bit more about the smartwatches because they can do a lot. So we already discussed the calorie side. That can be a little inflated. And sometimes the heart rate can be off too. Like I've looked at my watch just laying in bed and it's like 154 beats per minute. I'm like, dang, dude, what are you having a heart attack? And it's like, oh, it was just off on my wrist a little bit.
yeah.
Same thing after like a crazy set of legs, it'll say 82 beats per minute. I'm like, there's no way in hell. There's no way. And I think like some sweat got in there. But overall it can be good to kind of get trends for heart rate, I've noticed. So it's not useless there. I don't really trust the calories so much. The steps though. Steps are important. I know you do a lot of stepping yourself.
Oh yeah.
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 Um,
I feel
do
like
you
that
have
is
your
the most what's that?
sorry. I was gonna say, do you have your clients track their steps?
Yes, I do. Yeah. So, I mean, I love my Apple Watch because like you said, it has a lot of features and I do think Apple Watch is probably one of the better technologies as far as accuracy, and I do think the heart data is awesome. Like I do love that it gives you like your respiratory fitness, and I will say this, like my mom's my mom, her life was saved by her Apple Watch. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but her Apple Watch started telling her that she had some sort of irregular heart rhythm or something. And at first she kind of ignored it because she was like, that's weird. It's probably just an error, but it kept telling her. So she eventually went to a doctor. She had some scans done and whatnot, and they did find that she had an aneurysm the size of a orange in her valve. And she actually had a genetic issue where one of her valves was like smaller than the other ones. So she like literally like they told her she probably would have had like 4 weeks to live had she not come in. Like had she picked up like 40 pounds, which is like my niece, by the way, it probably would have ruptured and she would have died. It was insane. So her Apple Watch literally saved her life, which is really freaking cool. And like there's crazy stories like that fascinated us, so we found like all these crazy stories of like people's Apple Watches like detecting they were drowning and stuff and like calling an emergent, like all sorts of crazy stuff. You can look it up, but it's pretty cool. So that's a crazy story, but I do love my Apple Watch because it just tracks so much data and it will notice trends. Like when my steps go up, it's like, hey, your steps have been up for the last 8 weeks, or like your respiratory and your VO2 max is improved for the past 8 weeks. So it is kind of cool, and I do like that. I do mostly use it for steps, and I do use my heart rate. I don't know if the heart rate's like 100% on point, but like again, like we said, mostly trends. So I can tell if I'm getting leaner, especially when my heart rate starts going down during my cardio and I'm like, shit, now I can't get my heart rate over 125 beats per minute. Like gotta step it up some. But yeah, so it can be very helpful in those kind of situations.
Can literally save your life. Y'all need to reach out to Apple and get like a deal signed and be like,
I
I need
told her
to
that. I'm like, please tell them this story and get a free Apple Watch. Like, come on.
they'd probably want to like put that on the news. That's crazy. That's well, I know Fitbit does the same thing. Like I had checked it out, and it's like you can check here to see if you've had any irregular heartbeats, and it told me that I had not, so that's good. But it said it will notify you if you do. So I guess everybody, yeah, listen to that. You never know when you might have 4 weeks. That's insane.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit like blown away here. One other great thing from the smartwatches is sleep. If nothing else, if you don't track it, you don't really know. It's kind of like your bank account. Like if you never track it, just go to the store and spend money and be like, yeah, I hope there's money in there. With your sleep, for me too, it's almost like a game. It's like, ooh, I want to get a little better. I'm gonna go to bed early tonight. I'm gonna get an extra 20 minutes of sleep so I can get that sleep score higher. It's like it literally gamifies it for me, and then I want to win. So um, I never win. My sleep is not that great, but I still get at least like 7 hours a night. That's like a bare minimum for me.
How
Do
do you
you?
track your sleep? What do you use?
Oh, I use a Fitbit, but see, the Apple Watch, they don't have great battery. That's the only downside.
No.
So
Yep.
I literally charge this thing like twice a week, maybe for like half an hour while I'm typing on my computer so I don't miss any steps. The other day I left it charging on the computer and I hopped on my walking pad and I was on there for like 10 minutes huffing away. Come when I sit down, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't get any of those steps. It didn't count.
That is the worst. That is the worst feeling ever. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I will say that about the Apple Watch. The battery is terrible, especially if you train. That because like when you work out, that takes up so much of your battery. So I'm like an hour, 45 minute cardio, an hour of training, 45 minutes cardio. My battery is just like kaput. So I have to charge it at night. Steve, my boyfriend, bought me for Christmas one year an Aura ring. Have you heard of an Aura ring?
I have heard of those.
That now, unfortunately, I lost it. Some carpet cleaners came and they had like this awesome, like badass giant vacuum and it sucked it right up. And I've never found it since then. So I need to get another one. But
I was
it's what's that?
I was thinking my mind goes to the worst thing. Like, yeah, the awesome carpet cleaners came and they stole it, but no, they just sucked it up. Okay.
Yep, they
Um,
sucked it up. Yeah, and they told us to like get everything off the floor, and I don't know. I guess maybe it fell off my nightstand or something. Because literally after that, I've never been able to find it. So I've assumed that's probably what happened. But the Aura ring was awesome. I was very impressed with the data that it provided, and like you said, it gives you like a sleep score. It shows you like how long you're in REM and like how much you tossed and turned at night, and it'll give you like a readiness score, like if you're ready for your day and stuff like that. My sleep was always pretty good, even when I had hormone issues and SIBO issues, which was really great. But I'm just a heavy sleeper. I mean, I sleep like the dead anyways. Like it takes a lot to wake me up, but I love the Aura ring. It's a little pricey. I think it's like $300, $350, something like that, but really, really cool. And it also is good for women. It will help you track your menstrual cycle. I don't know. There's some data about like your body temperature changing,
uh,
and so it would like kind of predict like when you were going to get your cycle based off like your body temperature and stuff like that. But yeah, the Aura ring was awesome. I've really been thinking about buying another one lately.
Makes a lot of sense because I don't typically change my clients' food based around their cycle, but like I know based on body temperature and metabolism that women do burn more calories based on their cycle. Like they get a lot of hunger cues and they're like, I'm hungrier, and it's like it's that you actually are hungrier because you're probably burning more calories. So good things to know. Um, I have a question that I don't have an answer to, but well, I don't want to just throw you under the bus, but I sometimes smoke some things before going to sleep.
Same.
And I don't know if it affects my sleep or not. I've seen that it does, and it does make me more tired and more relaxed. But I wonder if it affects my sleep because sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm still like dragging ass. Then I'll take a night off and I'll wake up the next morning and I'm still sometimes dragging ass. I think I'm a little bit chronically fatigued, but yeah, I wonder if we could like experiment and track and see. You don't know unless you track. So I haven't been tracking it, so I don't know. But I need to start like putting that in a notebook or a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I've read that too, and a lot of people say it disrupts your sleep. David, my coach, he's always telling me like stop smoking weed, like it disrupts your sleep. I don't know. I never, because when I had my Aura ring, I would do the little gummies, like the Delta 8 and Delta 9 gummies, and I always had a great sleep score. But again, I may be an outlier because I just sleep like
Yeah.
I'm a heavy sleeper. So I mean, there's just like nothing. I mean, I can sleep through anything. So I don't know. But I really am thinking about getting another one. So I would definitely experiment with it and try it. And like even the different strains, like sativa versus indica, like that could make a difference. And that would make sense, honestly. If you had a sativa before bed, that would make sense that it would disrupt your sleep. But yeah, that'd be cool. A cool experiment. You know what? I feel like I'm just gonna put it on my business card and buy it. It's a business expense
It's a business expense. It's for science.
for
I love it.
science.
All right. So what else do we
Tracking
track?
food.
I was
Uh,
literally where I was going.
okay.
We're in, what do you tracking devices for food? I cannot stand it when people are like, I ate a serving of, and like they just mean like they eyeballed it. And I'm like, where did you pull a serving out of? Or I was with Sean and Allie and we went to this little restaurant and they had these teas, and the tea said it was like, I think it was like 15 or 20 calories a serving, and it's like a little jar. And I was like, oh, that's cute, 20 calories. Then I look and it says 6 servings. I'm like, what is this? It's like 8 ounces. Why are there like serving size is all made up?
Yeah.
And I'm a much larger human than Brooke, so maybe I need more servings. Like I try to tell Ollie that all the time when we go out to eat. I'm like, well, I get more food because I'm bigger than you. And she's like, that's not fair. I'm like, but I'm bigger than you, so I get to eat more. Um, but yeah, serving sizes are all made up. You guys need to track your calories and you can't eyeball it. Like, actually, I'm gonna do a YouTube video on this, like a challenge to see who can eyeball measurements the best. Because I used to use a measuring cup for my oats, and a serving size for oats is 1/2 cup, which is 40 grams. And I had bought a food scale and I had been using the cup forever. And I was like, I wonder how close I am. I bet I'm pretty on the point. So I measured out half a cup. I poured it on there and it was 60 grams. Now, granted, at the time, I was trying to eat like 80 grams of oats at once. So I'm really doing like 120 grams instead of 80. And it's like, there's your clue. There's your clue. Like you're way off here, dude. So using a scale in the kitchen is pretty much a non-negotiable for working with me. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's how I feel.
I think with some things you could get away with cups, like if you have cooked rice or cooked quinoa, that can be depending on how much water you use. It can vary, but like most of the time it's going to be the same. I will say this, I don't really track vegetables and I don't have my clients really track their vegetables either unless they're competitors. But if they're lifestyle, I just don't have people track vegetables unless they're not losing weight, and then we need to start doing that obviously. But yeah, same thing with the scale. For years and years and years and years, I didn't use a scale. I used measuring cups like you. And there were some things I would weigh like tofu. I feel like there's some things that are they're just easier that way to track. But I remember actually going through, this is really not even that long ago, the J3 University, and there was some sort of module where John Jewett was talking about protein powder and how almost always a scoop of protein powder is actually not the actual serving size on the bag. So it may be like 30 grams, but then when you weigh it, it's actually like 45. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. And it never fails. It never fails. Every single protein powder that I bought, it's not been exact, the scoop, even if you level it out with a knife and get it all nice and perfect. So that was a big game changer for me, and just starting to actually weigh. I pretty much weigh everything now just because it's so much more accurate, and it's also easier to fit your macros that way too, I found, because you can make your own serving size, you know?
Yeah.
So, because if you're stuck with what's on the bag, you're like, well, I don't really need 30 more grams of protein. I only have 20 grams left. But so how do you figure that out? Are you just going to do 3/4 of a cup? Are you going to do a half cup? Like that's just too complicated. So to me, it's easier to do grams and just weigh stuff. I know people act like, it's disordered, or, I see that a lot now on social media, but to me, it just makes it so much easier.
I agree 100%. I mean, you call it disordered, but like you want to go bake a cake, you're going to need 8 different measuring cups for everything you're weighing
Exactly.
out. Um, Newsflash, if you don't know this, a milliliter and a milligram, a milliliter and a gram, sorry, they are the same. So if you're 8 ounces is 240 milliliters of soy milk, that's the same as 240 grams. So you don't have to use a measuring cup and then go wash it. You just use your food scale, pour it directly into whatever you're pouring it into. Super easy, way more accurate. I don't think it's disordered. I think if nothing else, I tell people try it for a week and then you'll have that knowledge of, oh, okay, well, clearly I don't know how to measure oats with a cup. If I find myself in a situation where I don't have a scale, I have 4 scales just in case. But if that happens, I'll have a better idea with the cup of where it needs to be at.
Yeah. And it's like, what kind of results do you want to? Like, there's some people who may not really care and like, okay, use cups and half a cups. If you're happy with your physique and, you're
Yeah.
good, do it if it works for you. But there are people who are not happy with their results. They're not understanding why they're not losing weight. And if your food isn't accurate, then that's a big part of why. And that could be the next step. So like for a lot of people, they may be doing a lot of the right things. And if there's just a few more things that are going to need to change to get you to that next level, weighing your food could very well be that next thing. And for me, that was a huge game changer for me. So yeah, I think having a scale is just absolutely key. And I know we both use MyFitnessPal. I love MyFitnessPal. Honestly, I like that better than any of the, and I've tried a lot of them. Chronometer, I know people love that one, but I just like MyFitnessPal because it just has a huge database. Like even if you are on the go and you need to like run into Chipotle, like Chipotle's whole menu is on there. So I love MyFitnessPal. I probably would never use anything else, and that's what my clients use as well. And it connects with my app, so I can see what they're eating. And I just think it's very easy and simple to use.
I mean, it's like I think it's like $50 a year now. And I remember at first I had used it for free for like 2 or 3 years, and I was like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, why do I have to pay for this now? And then I was like, what app do I use 6 times a day, 365 days a year almost, outside of like my messages or something like maybe Instagram. But like, yeah, I was like $50. Okay. And I've been paying for that for I don't know how long now. I've used my fitness pal since like 2012. It's like 12 years. Like it just makes it easier. And like you said, like if like I love doing this all the time. Like, oh, I scan this food in, it says the serving size is 50 grams or a cup. I'm not gonna use a cup. I'll switch it to grams. And then it's like, well, I don't really need the full thing. Well, I'll just make a serving size 1 gram and then I'll add 40 servings. It's like perfect. I got exactly the amount of food I need. It allows a little bit more flexibility in my life. Um, I will say though, they've added some features that you just got to be a little bit careful about. Like I had one client that was eating over on his diet every day because my fitness pal tracked his steps and said he burned an extra 400 calories. So he thought that meant he could eat a couple extra Oreos or whatever he wanted. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not how this works. The other big one is the net carbs. There's a little bit of a debate back and forth in the fitness community about whether or not we should track net carbs. Basically, what a net carb is if your food has 10 grams of carbohydrates and 2 grams of fiber, technically that's only 8 grams of net carbs. You can subtract the fiber from the carbs, which would lower your calories. And I had a client that was stalled out on his food. He was on a pretty low carb diet, about 150, 200 grams of carbs a day, but he was pulling out the net carbs. He was getting 100 grams of fiber on under 200 carbs a day. And he was thinking that that didn't count at all. And like he's eating the high fiber tortillas and like everything. And like not only did he have a lot of digestion and bloating issues, but he wasn't seeing the weight loss because he was subtracting all that fiber. So I feel like my first 4 years tracking macros, I used to subtract the carbs. And what it did was it made me pick all these really high fiber foods so that I got to eat more carbs, but technically not count them. It was a tough day to switch that over mentally. I had actually created my own database on MyFitnessPal of every food I liked with the net carbs before they offered. because I had to completely change everything, and it was a little mentally rough, but it made me now I'll eat white rice because it digests better. Before I would have eaten brown rice because it has fiber, so I can eat a little bit more. It it leads that actually, in my opinion, led to disordered eating. I was probably getting 150 grams of fiber a day myself. So, um, yeah, no net carbs for me.
Yeah, I don't do the net carb thing either, but a lot of people get hung up on that. And again, it's like one of those things, like if you're first starting and you want to do net carbs, if you're going from like eating fast food and junk food all the time to at least just tracking your net carbs, okay, cool, great, keep doing it. But then if you hit a wall like your client did and you're like, I'm so frustrated, like I'm not seeing results, then it's time to drop the net carbs because those calories they still count. Yeah.
Well, it's also too like you can't have 100 grams of fiber a day. I don't know anybody that
No.
can.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. So that the average American gets like 7 grams. Yeah, I saw a Lane Norton post, and it's like he said like the average American gets like 7 or 10 grams, and just going up to 20 to 30 grams a day can like drastically decrease your chances of dying from like heart disease or other things. Real quick, because we are running low on time. If you're going to track things and you're happy with the progress you're seeing, keep tracking it that way. If you're not happy with the progress, you need to slow down and think about everything you put in your mouth. If it's not water and it's not air, because even Splenda, the packets, they have about 4 calories. So if you're going through 20 packets a day, there's 80 calories. A piece of gum, 4 to 5 calories. You're going through 20 pieces of gum, there's 100 calories. Just had a client that could not, I had to play detective, could not figure out why he's not losing weight. I'm like, are you eating anything? Coffee, tea, gum, anything? And he's like, oh, well, I do have some coffee. I said, okay, like how many times a day? 5. Okay, do you put any sugar, any creamer? And he's like, oh, yeah, I've been using this creamer. And I said, measure it for me once with a food scale. He was doing 82 grams, which is like 3 servings of this creamer. I did the math. It was an extra 550 calories a day just from creamer. I didn't even count the Splenda at that point. I was like, I don't care about the Splenda. Like,
It's like a third of
dude,
my
either
day.
we're gonna go to unsweetened almond milk or we're gonna go to black coffee. Either of those will drop your calories by about 500. And that's part of being a coach is the detective work. But if you're doing your own detective work, you got to factor in everything. So, um, well, we are kind of at time here, but we do want to get to those listener questions. So, Sean, whenever you're able to queue them up, I'd love to hop in here. I listened to 2 of them, so I might be surprised with one. We'll see which one we
I
get.
only listened to one, so I'm definitely gonna be surprised.
And if you guys are eagerly awaiting our response, you can go to veganswholiftpodcast.com and drop us another question because we're going to be doing this every week. Uh,
Hey guys, I'm a listener from Japan and I always enjoy this podcast. I actually have a couple questions that I've been wanting to ask you guys, and this one would be interesting to discuss about. So I'm gonna go with this one. Have you ever done vegan keto diet before? If so, how did it go? If not, are you interested in or it just doesn't work for vegans? I personally not gonna choose it because I love carbs, but I've been just always curious. And what would you say to one of your clients when he or she is trying to lose some weight with vegan keto? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you, and you guys are the best. Bye.
Oh, we know who that is.
I love you. Thank you. Mai is a vegan bikini competitor and my client, and one of our academy graduates out of Japan. So thank you so much, Mai, for your question. I have to agree with her. I love carbs too. Have you ever tried vegan keto, Brooke?
I have never tried vegan keto, and I don't think I ever will either. And I wouldn't advise really anyone to do it, especially women. There is a lot of research that shows not vegan keto specifically, but there is a lot of research that shows keto diets are very hard on the female body, and it does increase cortisol because people don't realize this, but taking away carbs is a stressor on the body because that's our main source of energy. So your body's like, WTF, you know? So yeah, I really wouldn't advise a vegan keto diet, and vegan keto is gonna be very restrictive anyways. You're gonna be very limited on what you can eat since a vegan diet is pretty high in carbohydrates. So personally would never do it. I really wouldn't advise anyone else to do it. Yeah, not for me. And I love carbs.
I love carbs too. I actually did try once back when I was in college, for the first time. All I did was track protein and carbs, and I wanted to keep my net carbs. I wanted to keep my net carbs like under 30 or 35 in a day. So I remember eating like a lot of tofurkey, a lot of protein shakes, a lot of nuts that had like high fiber content. Like I think I had these like chocolate covered almonds that were like artificially sweetened, and I remember eating the heck out of them, and it kind of worked. Um, but I wasn't tracking enough other things, and I don't think in an ideal world we would ever do this. Carbs are what our body uses for not only energy and output and performance, but also brain function. So you're going to be like a zombie. Um, you are going to be missing out on fiber and other micronutrients by eliminating carbohydrates from your diet. Could it work to lose fat? Yes, but you know, just not eating for a week could help you lose fat too. But like, why do we got to make it harder than it is and impair your performance and possibly your muscle? There are, I would say, if you're gonna do it, now is more of the time. 20 years ago, there were no options. So there's a ton of like, it's just companies trying to capitalize on it. There's always vegan keto things out there, not because it's a good idea, but because people want to try keto, and companies are like, "Oh, we'll sell this to them." Um, so yeah, I guess you could, but I wouldn't recommend it. I've talked a lot of clients out of it. Um, let's put it this way: I feel like there'd be a community of successful vegan ketos out there promoting, but I've never seen one. So
Good point.
it's not sustainable. And even like the whole point of keto too, I think that makes more disordered eating because you have to get into ketosis, and that takes a few days. And if you have a single meal off plan, if it's your daughter's birthday and you have one slice of cake, even if it's vegan, boom, well, you're not keto anymore. It's going to take 3 days just to get back into ketosis. Why? That's what I say.
Yeah.
So
Very obsessive.
yeah, I think are we good with the one question this week? I am going to be
Yeah.
honest. I'm getting a little hungry myself talking about
Yeah,
all
you
these
gotta go
carbs.
eat. Yeah.
I gotta eat. I gotta train today. I'm gonna be meeting up with Nick, who owns Vegan International Co. and the Vegan Halal Truck. And we're gonna train and then go get some food, and I'm gonna interview him. So I'm super stoked for that. But I gotta eat before I go lift. Wow, dude. Season 3. I'm I'm calling it right now. We're getting to at least 10 seasons. Like they're I'm coming back.
I mean, it's
We're
flown
doing
by. So yeah, I mean, if we average 4 or 5 seasons a year, I mean, we'll be at 10 seasons end of next year.
Sean says 10 seasons and a movie. Vegans Who Live movie coming to theaters and Netflix sometime in the future. I
Oh
don't know
my
what
gosh, that's hilarious. That would be awesome.
the movie could be. We could have like, oh my God, I just thought we'll get like a gigantic Airbnb, like a 20-bedroom house, and we'll just invite everybody that's been on the podcast. And
I know, we do something like the Game Changers or something like
yeah,
that. I mean, there's no reason we couldn't do that.
uh, one person they're gonna have on their room, they're not gonna know it. We're gonna put it under their pillow like Oprah Winfrey style. You're on vegan keto for the week, and they're gonna hate themselves.
Oh my gosh, that would be epic if we have you seen the show Big Brother?
uh-uh.
Oh, where it's like all these people are like trapped in a house together and they're all strangers and stuff, and like they have to be there for like an extended amount of time, like 12 weeks or something like that. And there's like secret cameras just like watching them, and each week they have to like vote somebody out and like that would be
Vegan
epic.
Big Brother. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so about it. All right. I'm gonna go eat. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Mai, for your question, and for the other people who we haven't answered yet. We will get to you very soon. Keep sending them in because we're gonna be knocking them out. We might even have a whole question and answer series coming up. So thank you guys. Veganswholivepodcast.com. Send that to all your friends, your family, Alex's goats. And Brooke, I'll catch you next time.
Yeah, catch you next time. Thanks, guys.